Morning, morning, lovely people, and welcome back to the Wildlands for part 2 of our cold frame build. And you remember in the last episode we were about a third of the way into the build, and we just got to painting the uprights and a lot of slats. Missy was painting for many hours with a lot of help from Rosie as well. So as always, thanks for watching and enjoy part 2, where hopefully we'll get to the end of the video and the cold frame will be finished. So enjoy tonight's episode. In July 2021, with the increase in travel restrictions caused by Brexit and the pandemic, we decided to buy off-grid land in Portugal to live a more sustainable lifestyle.
Follow along with our journey as we turn our beautiful but derelict land into our very own slice of off-grid heaven, Wildlands.
So morning, just off down to inspect my work. And you'll see it's a glorious day, but it's very deceptive, as you can see from my hat. So it's about 10:15, which is when the sun comes up and starts warming everything back up. But I just checked the thermometer and it's still only 3 degrees, but at least it does warm up. So I woke up in the night and suddenly realised that I've made a big boo-boo on my cold frame, which I'm just going to show you. So my boo-boo is on the right side next to the planter. So you see I've got a nice big gap here, and I've got to put the wall of the cold frame in, which is basically 2 sandwiches of thin slats with the polycarbonate. But on this side, where my wonky planter is not quite straight, this post is butted right up to here. So I've got no room to slide the polycarbonate and the slats in, which is probably about 2 centimetres of width. So I've got 2 choices. I can either chop this pole off, which Missy wanted left. Oh look, there's a processionary. Is that a processionary caterpillar there? Brilliant. To get rid of him. That's good news as well. So I've got Missy on the case now. She's got a Seek app to take a photo. I mean, normally the processionaries are in big groups, but he might have fallen out of one of these pine trees. Or he might just be a cute fluffy caterpillar. I mean, processionary or not, he is very cute. So cute but dangerous.
Really cute.
He is beautiful.
He's found the sunshine now, he's having a little rest and a warm up.
He's lovely in orange.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So, after the processionary trauma, Missy put it in a bucket and moved it out of the way. So the general consensus with the locals seemed to be that they're not at all bothered by processionary caterpillars, having talked to some of the local farmers, and they treat them much the same way as, say, a scorpion or a boar, which are both potentially dangerous creatures. So we've looked at the nature in the area, and there's quite a lot of tits that eat them. So long-tailed tits, those kind of things. We've got hundreds of those on the land. So it seems to be only the foreigners like us that worry about them, according to the locals anyway. So we're going to go with that, and on the basis that nature will help us to take care of it. A lot of our friends are chopping all their pines down and burning them, which we want to try and avoid. And there's many people in this area, and many pine trees and many processionary nests. So we're just going to, of course, err on the side of caution, keep out their way, keep one inside when there's lots of processionary caterpillars in groups wandering about, which is it's perhaps a little bit early at the moment. I think with the hot weather they're coming out early, and it may be that guy was just dropped by a bird, or he's got confused or blown out of one of the near pine trees. So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously worried about scorpions as well, but I mean there's probably hundreds and hundreds of scorpions on our land, but they tend to keep away from us. So we'll go on that basis for now. And talking to all the off-gridders, whilst they've all got processionaries, none of them had a problem with their pets or animals. So we'll see what happens and just keep a watchful eye on it. So anyway, after that excitement, I'm back on my build. So first job today is to finish off this side, which is to put the uprights up same as the other side and get that all boxed in, and then I should be able to start on the sides and the lids, which is quite exciting. I just need to get myself motivated as it's very chilly at the moment, so I'm going to chop these poles off now after my little boo-boo. We were only keeping them for netting. Missy wants to grow carrots in here and she was going to net them to try and prevent carrot fly, but I think we'll chop them all off and live and learn by your own mistakes. So a lot to do today, so let's get cracking. So fronts are on the back side, fronts are on the front side, and I've just started doing the central dividers. So we've got a very slight pitch. So the middle block by my shadow is 55 centimetres and the front is 53, so it's very slight to let the rain run off to the front. So a few observations. The fronts are quite high for a cold frame, so that we get the maximum height we can out of plants. So the only drawback is it's almost at my arm's length to get to plants at the back, and Rosie can only reach down to about halfway, so we'll put maturer plants at the back, things like bamboos that are resting and so on, and then trays of veggies at the front. But yeah, I think it's looking good. So I chopped off my offending posts. I've left the middle one at the moment because it's got plenty of room. See if it's use. I'll chop that one off where the processionary caterpillar was, so that I can get my sides in. So now I'm going to screw all these tops on here. You can see I've started 3 at this end, and then once they're all on, I've got to do the central joins down the middle. So that's from here to here, and then so on down all the gaps. And then I've got to work out how I'm going to hinge the insides. So we've got 2 centimeters spare in the middle, so I think I'm going to have to also put another post. So instead of having 2 posts here to join up the front and the back, I think I'm going to have 4, 2 to join the front and the back, and then 2 either side to screw me hinges for me lids on. But yeah, good progress. So the issues that I can see is, if you look down there, I don't know if you can see it, but in the middle where the 2 cold frames join here, it's a little bit not straight despite using set squares on the bottom. But it is quite difficult when you're working on pallets that are various sizes, 2 or 3 centimeters bigger or wider. So it's what it is, so I'll have to make up for that when I put the lids on. The problem will be is if these tops are not particularly flat, and when the lid closes it might not sit flush, but I think we can make up for that with little clasps, little hooks to keep the lid secure and to keep the cold out and so on. So let me screw all the middles on and I'll come back to you in a minute. So hurrah! Most of the frame is finished and I've just laid a bit of polycarbonate on top to see if it fits. So it's not too bad, it's not entirely square. You can see it's about 1 centimetre from this line to here, whereas it's flush at the back, and then on this side it's about 1 centimetre out as well, but it's not too bad. I can take that up when I put the sandwiching on here. So all I've got left to do before I build the tops is I've got to join the left and the rights of all the uprights up just for strength. And as I've told you before, I work on the fly, so I haven't actually solved this problem. If I climb over these slats, just like being at the gym. So what I've got to do here is, this is the middle of the 2 frames, so the front of one and the back of the other, and once this is sandwiched between the 2 slats it's going to be up like that. So I've then got to work out where to screw the hinges so that both sides can open fully without the wood that's here knocking into each other. So I don't have any 30mm planks, which is the thickness of that wood. Doesn't have to be 30mm, but I'm going to have to put something there so that the hinges work appropriately. So I'm going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery, which is one of my favourite things, so I'm sure I'll work it out. It might be that I use the planks in the middle and I cut them in half. So those big planks in the middle, if you see the line where I've marked for my posts, it might be that I can cut that into a plank size like that and then put it here for me hinges. But I also have to be careful because whilst it's not obvious, there is a slight pitch. So this end is 2 centimeters higher than the front, so that the rain dribbles off. So I've got to take that into account as well. So I've got to think that through, but I think I'm going to go have some lunch. So that was very satiating. The only thing wrong with it is I should have done 3 eggs. So beautiful free range eggs from my friends Martin and Lee, thanks guys. And the olive oil was from Ash up the road from his olives, so fresh pressed, a couple of weeks in a bottle, absolutely lovely. So the only thing not off the land or from local land was the tomatoes, and once the cold frame is finished we can start some tomatoes off early, and then I look forward to having fresh eggs from our chickens, tomatoes from our land, and use olive oil that we've pressed or had pressed locally. So that gets a big thumbs up from me. So back to me cold frame. So I've been gone from the cold frame area for 15 minutes while I cook my lunch, and I've got a very excited dog here who does not like being left. You've got issues of attachment. Hello buddy. Who's a good boy? Do you need water? You need some water? Is that what you're trying to say? Let me get you some water, mate. Are they thirsty? I've been in the sun. I like it in the sun. And he's sitting with me by the cold frame. I would let him off the lead because he's been a very good boy off the lead since he's been on the land. But as I can't really keep an eye on him, he does tend to wander off when he gets a sniff. But he's enjoying sitting with me, spending the day with me before he gets a nice long walk later. And then you go off the lead, buddy. Plus also at the moment, you see he's got his foot bandaged up so that he doesn't have to wear his cone. He's on about 50th treatment for his poorly toe. And it's his last treatment before the vet decides whether to amputate his toe or not, poor chap. But we kind of think he'd rather be playing with his ball and running about and being off the lead than have to wear a shoe. So next problem of logic was I need to put wood across the middle where the join is, and of course if you screw a piece on this end and then on this end, you can't get to screw one from that end. So I've solved that. So I'm putting little battens underneath, and then the bigger plank that I'm having to make. So that thin plank is made out of that thick plank, which doesn't fit on the miter saw, so more jiggery pokery. So it's not entirely straight, but it's only the base for the hinges for the back lifty uppy bitties. So I've got my helpers now. Olive green going on, chosen by Rosie.
This is sage green.
Sage green is the technical term, and it's waterproof and UV proof and extreme weather paint, and it's like a satin finish. That's the woodwork on the frames finished. Got my tops on, which was the worst bit of a challenge, but all done. So that's another day done. So the frame is woodwork finished with no lids and no polycarbon, and the painting's sort of nearly done first coat with just these last central bits, and then I think it's going to need at least a second, maybe a third coat on the outside to protect it from the sun and the rain and the termites, etc. And then I've just done a quick recce. So I've got my slats here cut, all ready to frame in the cold frame lids, and then I've run out, so I've only got half the slats I need for the bottom of the cold frame lids, and then I was short 2 sheets of polycarb, and then this is the wood that's left for the greenhouse. And having done a recce, now I've seen what I've used, I don't have enough. So it's not bad really. This thicker wood that I'm using for the uprights of the greenhouse, I only got half what I needed, so we'll go out tomorrow and get that, and then I can get building that as well once I finish the cold frame. So time for a beer, get the fire lit. It's 5 o'clock now, sun's almost behind the trees, so it's very chilly again, gets cold quickly. So within an hour it'll be 3 or 4 degrees, fire will be on. I think it'll be freezing again tonight, but as looking at the sky is completely clear, it's normally frosty on a clear sky night. So I shall say good night for now, and I'll see you in a minute when I wake up and carry on again tomorrow. Morning, morning, and as I always say, another beautiful day on the Wildlands. Lovely blue sky, seems to be just the normal, although we are expecting a bit of rain in a few days, which I'm actually quite excited about because we need to fill up our IBCs. Going to do a little bit more work on those later, but today it's all about painting, because we need to paint the slats so that we can make the sides and the lids for the cold frame. So that's today's exciting task, but it's all part of getting ready for seeds, which I'm really excited about. We went out and bought some seed trays yesterday. We got some already, but we need a lot more, so let me show you what we got. So we got these rigid reusable ones in a couple of sizes, big and medium plugs, and then the poly ones at the bottom, tiny little plugs you can see compared to my finger. And we've got some more of these and some more of these that we got before Christmas, and then a whole pile of pots, reusable again, some fleece. And then as soon as the cold frame is finished, we can get planting, and at the same time I can start building the greenhouse. So the greenhouse is a bit frustrating because I didn't have enough wood. We went to 4 wood places yesterday in DIY shops, and nobody had any wood of the right size in stock, apart from one place where it was all bendy wood. Wood is terrible quality here, very rarely straight, and exceptionally expensive, but needs must. And so it's on with the build, so let's get on with building. So that's all the framework cut, so you can get an idea where I've rested it on there. So it's framed around the outside and then 2 in the middle. So this is just painting, and this pile here is the top framework, and this pile here is the underneath. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark these out. They've got to be cut in half somewhere here. I'm going to measure that, and they're going to be the fronts here and over the back there. And this stuff is supposed to be quite difficult to cut, so I'm going to put masking tape on in the middle and then mark it on there and try it with the jigsaw. So fronts, both sides of the cold frame are cut. And now the challenge is on these sides. I'm just going to see, because these are pitched slightly but only by 2 centimeters, so I'm going to see if by dropping it low whether I can still use a straight bit. What are you doing, Missy?
Painting.
Are you enjoying it?
Painting and painting and painting.
How many slats have you got to paint?
The reason it's called painting
It's because it's
such a pain.
painty.
I don't know. I mean, I've done 50,000 and I've got another 150,000 to go.
Nice, and Rosie's helping as well.
Yes.
It's a family painting affair.
Yeah.
So there's all these slats here which have had a first coat, and then there's all these slats here which have had no coats. So these slats here, the short ones are going on the uprights to keep the plastic in, long ones are going along the bottom and along the top. So I've cut both sides. So the last bit of cutting for the cold frame is just to do along there and the top, and then 4 uprights for the sides, and I've got to double that up for the other end, and then it's time for a beer because my job is done. I can get my chair and watch the ladies paint. So how's that for a good fit? Not bad.
Perfect. Look at that. It's huge.
Thanks. That'll keep all the ceilings happy, won't it? Nice bit of polystyrene insulation.
Lovely. Oh, it looks so smart with this paint as well.
It does. The inside will be covered with capillary matting when it arrives.
If you wonder what I've been doing all day long, I painted the whole of the outside of this once. So that's quite a lot. And then these. Look how many thousands of them there are. And you have to go up one side and down the other side and do both sides and wait for them to dry and then flip them over and do that all again. And then I have to do it again. It was really fun. Thanks for that job.
It's my pleasure. 101 slats. Walk through the greenhouse, over the slats. So the polystyrene insulation is all cut to size and in. Looks pretty pucker. And we've been painting and cutting and sawing to an eclectic mix. We've had the Prodigy, we've had Simon and Garfunkel, Slipknot, Korn, and a whole mix rocking out to the cutting of our stuff. So all packed up for the day, off to light the fire, cook the dinner, just Missy mainly. So there we go, good day's work. Second coat, third in places, all the polystyrene insulation is in, needs a bit of a sweep, waiting for its capillary matting. And then we've still got all of this lot here, which is 8 long poles and 16 shorts to paint 2 coats on. And then most of these have had 2 coats, but some have not. So still a lot to do. So tomorrow is shopping day. So I might get 3 or 4 hours done tomorrow to get all these painted. And then I reckon Friday to Saturday morning I can get it finished. And then we've also got to find some wood. You have a look here at the dwindling wood. These slightly larger bits, which are about 2 by 2. I need another 12 of them, as I mentioned earlier, because they ain't got none in. And that's to do the big uprights of the greenhouse. And it's not actually a bad size really. I mean, it's obviously a lot smaller than the polytunnel that we wanted, but it's a quarter of the price, and it's still going to be about 6.5 foot by 12 foot. So it's a fair size, bigger than a greenhouse that you'd probably put in your garden. They're usually 6 by 6 or 6 by 8. So 50% bigger, so I think we've got plenty of room. And if we need more room, we've got all this space, look at that, to extend. So I'm going to make a nice potting table to go here, and then the idea is in the greenhouse we're going to use the polystyrene again like before, and then I'm going to put some planks down the entrance, which is going to be here, where you can see my feet down the middle. So run down the middle and probably end 2 foot or so from the last pallet, so that we've got a walkway. So after 2 days of painting, the slats are done. So that means I can start putting the polycarb on the cold frame. Woohoo! So that's the top of the front on. So next, before I do the sides, these holes here, I'm going to Sikaflex. Same on this side. That's so the condensation can't get in. So it's the same process with all the panels. So I'm just doing the front panels at the moment. Not going to film it all because it's a repetitive process. So let me just show you what I've done, so that you can get an idea if you're building your own cold frame. But it's very simple, just a lot of work. And the side panels are screwed on, and the bottom one, which goes here, is yet to go on. And then at the side of the polycarbonate, where you've got the sawn edge, it's got the holes that go inside. So I'm siliconing that with polycarbonate friendly silicone, and that then seals the inside, stops the condensation and the dirt getting in and the algae. So I'm just going to do that next on both ends before I put the bottom panel on there. And then I'm going to move on to the fourth and final front panel, or back cap panel in this case, and then I'm going to get onto the sides and the lids. It's about 2 o'clock on a Saturday, so I think as it's a weekend, I can have a Guinness. Cheers Dave, thanks for that. Oh, I wish Guinness was readily available and cheap around here. Love it. Cheers everyone. So yesterday I made just the one cover, and I'm just making a little fixes where I've got a couple of gaps. So you see I've got some gaps here and here, so I've just made some little widgets to go in there, and I'm going to seal that with silicone, as well as all the holes down here need to be done with silicone. Currently making the middle braces where the hinges are going to go to. So this one is upside down at the moment, but that's all finished. Got all these to make me next 3 lids, so I didn't show you stage by stage on that one, but I'm gonna time lapse the lid that's going to go here so that you can see the build process. But let me just explain that to you. So this lid is currently upside down, got to fill these gaps in, but you'll see that on this side this comes the full length, and on the underside you can see it stops here, so that you've got extra strength. And then on the other side of here is where the handle is, so that's got extra screws, and I've screwed it on both sides. And then these middle bars are lined up with the bars that sit on top there, so that it looks symmetrical. So let's get these other lids built. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? Glad when it's over, to be honest. I've enjoyed it, but it has been, to coin the phrase, a lot of work. But I'm going to screw it all together, and then the exciting bit is if I can get that done today, get the thermometer in there for a greenhouse showing the highest and the lowest temperature, and we can see what it does to the overnight temperatures, and then we can get planting in our seed trays, which I'm really looking forward to. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, thanks for all your comments, and I hope you enjoyed this week's extra episode on a Wednesday where we finished the cold frame. Really pleased with it. Absolutely stunning, even though I say so myself. So, also made these uprights, which we painted, so you can slot those in here. And now we're all ready to grow. So thanks again, thanks for following our adventures, and hopefully this inspires you to maybe do some work in your own off-grid property or on your garden or land, and build yourself a cold frame. And the next chore for us is to get our well sorted, which we're doing later today, so that's very exciting. And then I think after that you'll have noticed in the video all the extra pallets where we're going to be building the greenhouse. I've got the wood ready for that. So that's also on the list of never-ending jobs to complete on the Wildlands. So keeping us plenty of videos going there. So again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday for the next episode. Ciao!